Welcome to Sharing the Mddl, where recovering perfectionists, overachievers, and anyone in the middle of a struggle come together to learn to embrace the messy middles of life. I am Lacey, your friend in the middle and guide, whose claim to fame this week is literally just making my bed just now all by myself, which is huge. I know that may not be huge to you, but again, huge for me, and I'm real proud. Lots of leaning over and walking around. So for someone who struggles with both of those things, I'm kicking ass today. Today is a mini episode, which means that you're hearing from me. We're going to do an essay from the middle about an ode to a good day, but also the dark side of a good day. The advice from the middle is going to be just from me. I'm not going to read a letter today, but instead we're going to talk through some of my advice for making it through a bad day. And then we'll go into Lacey Loves, where I have a really big and exciting announcement. So let's get started. And now, an essay from the middle, the good and bad of a good day. I keep having more good days. This is an achievement and something to celebrate. So I wanted to document the goodness of a good day, but also be clear about the rough parts. I know we'd all like to think it's all sunshine and rainbows. There is an other side of a good day, which can often take the form of a bad day or bad thoughts. Let's jump in. Getting back to myself. I've talked before about the grieving of my previous self. I've heard people talk about their previous bodies, thinking how good they had it and how they would love to have that body now. This is kind of what it's like to me, daydreaming about the things that my previous body was capable of. On a good day, I feel close to being that old self. I feel so close to having the energy that I used to. I feel close to filling up a room like I think I did before. The joy of getting there, of building, being close to that person I was, really comes down to control. With this control, I feel more capable of building a life that I am excited and proud of. On a good day, I have more control. I don't have the same amount of barriers. Even with my illness and even on my bad days, I really see how I am building a life that is amazing. That is one that I'm excited to talk about and be a part of. On good days, even with that higher level of control, there are aspects of that old life that I don't feel like I have now. I don't think it's necessarily sad. I think it's actually helping me see how the old version of me fits into this new version. She comes in different ways at different times. She isn't lost, and I am still a whole. Building a bank of gratitude. It is so true that once you lose something, you appreciate it more than you did before. This weekend, my kids and I had an impromptu dance party. It was so fun to just dance and be silly with them because that's a place that they were and I could meet them there. This isn't something that I can do every day, but on Sunday I could. My daughter and I danced, and then my son came in and he danced, and there was a moment we were all just dancing and laughing and being so happy. Man, I savored it, and I seriously felt a joy like never before. My whole life I have been really good at having moments where it feels like my chest is about to explode with happiness. I could always really take that feeling in, cement it, and love it. But now I have that feeling and I can cement it, love it, and just deeply appreciate it like never before. I recently saw a clip from an interview with Michael J. Fox where he talks about how gratitude makes optimism sustainable. That with gratitude, we are able to be more positive in our outlook because we can identify the good that we have now. I think that's really what it comes down to. On my good days, I am filling up that gratitude bucket. I am filling it up so that I can be optimistic on the next downturn. The dark side of a good day. I really do think it's important to talk about the dark side of a good day. Life is full of ups and downs. If we don't all talk about the downs, if we don't talk about the shadowy parts, we all believe that not everybody has that we are alone in these struggles. And that's just not true. Even those good days have their shadows. So I'm going to tell you about mine. Guilt. Every once in a while on a good day, I have this thought that I wouldn't be having a good day if it wasn't for the time and energy that my family puts in to help me on my bad days. And yes, that's a positive, but it comes with so much guilt. The guilt that I took advantage of them to get this good day. I know that may sound like backwards thinking, and frankly, it is backward thinking. My family helps me because they love me and because they want my good days. even with that, there's this little voice in my head that thinks I didn't deserve it, that I'm making this all up and I am taking advantage of them. I am not making it up. I'm saying that mostly for myself and also to appease my worry that people think I am. It's a fear that I have, and it's a fear that I need to let go of. Good days are predictors of bad days. So good days have guilt. Good days also often bring bad days. On a good day, I want to do everything I can. Because of that, sometimes one good day can mean 2 bad days. Honestly, in the long run, I am very, very happy to have one good day for every 2 bad days. That is a trade I happily am willing to make. But it's an equation that I am always running in my head. I am 2 days out from one of my best days so far, and I am dictating this into my phone because my body really can't handle much more sitting up and typing. Isn't technology magical that that's possible? I'll never not think that's cool. So yeah, the good days come with costs, but the good days are worth it. And by appreciating these good days, I can easily make it through the bad. And that's my ode to a good day. I'm really excited to be partnering with Happy Curves. It's a really awesome product to help with something that we all do, which is sweat. I've gotten the lotion to powder comfort cream, got the fragrance free, but I did order some of the tropical scent and I'm excited to test that out. What I really love about it is it's easy to put on, starts as a lotion, turns into a powder, and it works in the areas that I need it to. I'm a busty lady. That's not a secret. And with bust, there's sweat. It's been a really great thing, not only during the summer, but as someone with a chronic illness that tends to make me sweat, I deeply appreciate it. The other thing that I love about Happy Curves specifically is it's intended to be inclusive of all people, whoever you are, because again, we all sweat and we all can deal with it how we want to. I like it because of the comfort. No one's really around me to smell me. Joe is, but never mind. This is getting too long. Enjoy. 15% off going to myhappycurves.com/Lacey15 or with my code Lacey15. That's LACEY15. And this advice from the middle today, we're really going to just pause, and it's more of an affirmation. And I do this because one, I've had a really rough week. And I don't have the capacity to really dig deep and give somebody else advice. So I'm going to give myself the advice I needed earlier this week. And I'm hoping the advice resonates with you too. Now, I know my bad days probably look a little bit rougher than yours, but even pre-sickness Lacey had quite a few bad days. Sometimes those just looked like days where I knew I should do something and I just couldn't figure it out and I was grumpy. Sometimes they were a series of unfortunate events that felt like the world was against me. If I could really truly recognize the small progress that I make every day, not only recognize it, but actually believe and see the progress that it is. I know that sounds really simple and I say it all the time, right? But the doing is always harder than the saying, right? You've heard me try to do this for myself already if you've listened to more than one episode of this podcast. In the beginning, I share my claim to fame for the week because I am learning to accept things previously I would have almost shamed myself for thinking that they were a big deal, actually letting them be a big deal. And I do this not to dilute things that are an even bigger deal, but actually to give those credit, because I've learned when I start to downplay one thing and another thing and another thing, it balloons. And then nothing is ever good enough. And just saying that out loud is so dumb. Of course things are good enough. Absolutely good enough. This week, even though they were late internally, I met my deadlines of getting all this stuff out for the middle. That is a celebration. Yes, I met expectations, but I did it in the face of real difficulty. And that means something. It's a fine line, right? Making my bed today was a big deal for me. This morning I passed out leaning over, getting clothes out of my children's laundry. And still, hour later, I was able to get myself together enough to do just as much bending over and walking around to make my bed. That's freaking awesome. And I'm allowed to think it's awesome. So to you, my dear listener, celebrate them. Celebrate the wins. Do not tear yourself down because you don't think that they're good enough. You deserve the W in your corner. Hopefully, maybe future Lacey will listen to this advice from the middle and take her own daggone advice. Spoiler alert, maybe not. And this week, Lacey loves, I can't not talk about Vanderpump Rules. Last night, I stayed up and watched it live on TV, which is something I almost never do. I genuinely cannot remember the last time I chose to watch it so that I could be in the know with the rest of the world, and it did not disappoint. I am not a Bravo recap podcast, but I will say it's so interesting to see such a twisted of insanity come to light and to see people be held accountable and like actual time. If you don't know anything about Vanderpump Rules, essentially this man, Tom Sandoval, cheated on his long-term partner, Ariana, with their best friend, Raquel, and it is some of the best reality TV in the world. That's not for everybody, and that's fine, but it is for me, and I love it so much. I love it so much because it's human interaction. I realized that the other day. I enjoy human stories, and these are people telling their stories. Well, someone's telling their story. Someone's telling a story. I'm not getting into the realness of everything, but it's fascinating. It is fascinating to see someone be held accountable. It's fascinating to see really the rebirth of a kick-ass woman. And just, if you are a VPR person, come find me and let's talk about it because it's fascinating. The other thing that I want to tell you about this week is that I am producing a second podcast. Yes, your girl is a podcast mogul now. The Middle is now a podcast network, apparently. And I am partnering up with my dear friend, Sarah. You heard her on this podcast a few weeks ago in the Women Who Made Me series. She runs Your Aligned Home and she's a home management consultant. Sarah helps people have their homes feel good. And in talking to Sarah, I had this idea for this podcast that is like a home makeover reality TV show came to light where we're going to have 3 participants for season 1, and we are going to follow their journey of hearing about how their home feels, how they want their home to feel, some suggestions and ideas and systems that Sarah can help them with. And then we're going to see what works and what doesn't. And that's the beauty of it, is that if something doesn't work, that's still a success because we figured out a piece. It's so fun to hear Sarah love what she does. I just sit there and smile as she's talking because she is so passionate and lovely about wanting to help people. Spoiler alert, my household is one of the households that is going to be a participant this first season. Joe is going to join us, and we're going to try to get some systems for our home in the way that we want it to run. Because that's what it comes down to. At first, I had this visceral, oh no, how are we having a home makeover show with no visuals? And then I thought, oh my gosh, of course we're having a home makeover show with no visuals and it's all spoken because it's about the person's feeling in their home. And it's just their home. I don't need to know. I would love to know because you guys know that I'm nosy. I don't need to know about their mess or the way that it actually looks. I want to hear about how they want it to feel, how it's not feeling that way, and how we can overcome it. At the core of this podcast, it's about seeing each other for who we are, where we are, and not judging what works for them and what doesn't work for them and that kind of stuff, which is really what the middle is about. It's about putting out there these hard things and talking about them so that we all can feel seen where we are. So the podcast is called No Shame in the Home Game. We have our Instagram live if you want to go over there and follow it. We'll be dropping the trailer next week. Hint, hint, wink, wink. It will be this podcast feed. It is something really special, and it is something that I am so excited for you all to hear. Join us along this ride and, the movement to have no shame in our home game and truly embrace and love our homes for how they feel so we can go out into the world and spread those good feels beyond our houses. That's it from Sharing the Middle this week. Thank you so much for being here and being with me. I really appreciate it. Have a great day. Thanks for sharing the middle with me. As always, I hope you've been able to see a little bit of yourself in the story we shared today. Don't forget to follow, share, rate, review, and follow me on social media at Lacey Shares. You can always check out the Joyful Support Movement at joyfulsupportmovement.com and see all of the amazing goodness we have there, like No Shame in the Home Game, Pots of Joy, courses, resources, and of course, the Joyful Support Village. All right, now go out there and spread some joy.